Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have our training that we created just for you, our municipalities, to understand more about the CBE program and how to comply with that program for your MAP Broward projects that have CBE goals on them. So we're going to introduce our panelists here today. I'm Nicole here with the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. I'll tell you later on about my role here. Just some housekeeping before we introduce everyone today. If you have any questions, please make sure you put your questions in the Q&A section. Again, we'll answer those questions at the end of the session, but go ahead and throw them in there. And right now for me, if you can please go ahead in the chat, we want to know who we have in the room today. So if you could please for me in the chat, put your name, what municipality you're with, and your contact details, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Sandy Michael McDonald, who is our director here in the office, to get us started.
Thank you, Nicole, and good afternoon, everyone. And for those of you who I know, hello. For those of you who I don't know, hello. But hey, we're here, and this is about MAP Broward. MAP Broward, Mobility Advancement Program, Broward. Some of you know this as penny for transportation, then surtax, now MAP Broward. We're here because one of the things that we committed to as the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, when the county and the oversight board decided that we were moving forward post the election for what was then penny for transportation and surtax, a commitment was made that small businesses would be used on all eligible activity. And since the county, through our office, already had a small business program, we just adopted the Business Opportunity Act ordinance, which rules over our small business program, and we adopted it for surtax. As Nicole mentioned, we're here because we're trying to do a repeated training, because we also understand that agencies change, people change. We want to make sure folks are aware of our program, aware of how our program fits into surtax projects or mobility advancement program projects, and how we want to work with you as individual cities to make sure your small businesses are aware of what their opportunities are with you, aware of what their opportunities are with other cities doing surtax, and what their opportunities are with Broward County doing surtax. That's what this is really about. You already work with prime contractors and cities, someone in your procurement, some of your other agencies in your cities. Some of you actually already work with small businesses in your cities. But when it comes to surtax, when it comes to these funds being spent, the county and the oversight board has a goal for 30%, at least 30% of whatever your projects are, to use local certified small businesses. So you're going to hear a little bit more today about how my staff wants to work with you and other folks at your city to make sure that this message really finds its way to your small businesses. There's multiple opportunities for us to aid you in making sure your small businesses are aware of these opportunities. There's multiple ways for us to assist you to make sure that your businesses are aware of other surtax opportunities in other cities, as well as with Broward County. And because of that, we just don't want small businesses to be participating in a bid process. We want to make sure that the small businesses are being used, and most importantly, that they're being paid. So today you're even going to hear a little bit about the process of how, with the cities combined, we make sure small businesses are considered, are committed to being used, and to make sure that they're also being paid to help the prime contractor and you as the city be successful with our projects. So that's what this is about today, really putting emphasis on the small business component of the interlocal agreement that each city has with the Mobility Advancement Program Broward for the utilization of these dollars of surtax. So I want to thank you for being here. And I do want to let you know, a lot might be said within an hour. but you have a chance to meet one-on-one with my staff if we need to go over this again. That's virtual, that's a conference call, or that's face-to-face. We're here to make sure that you can be successful, because your success, once again, drives the success of our small businesses. So that's my piece for the day. Again, please put who you are, what city you represent into the chat. And definitely any questions as we go through the presentations you have, write those in the Q&A, because in the end, we will entertain any and all questions. So with that, thank you again for coming. Nicole, I turn it back over to you and the team.
Thank you, Sandy. Yes. So before I introduce the team, let's see who's been here before in the chat. Let us know if this is your first time attending or if you've actually been to one of these training sessions before. And I'm going to even step it up a notch. If you've been here before, what is the percentage CBE goal that we're going for eligible projects? Look, you didn't know you're going to have a pop quiz as soon as we started, right? So please in the chat, let us know if you've been here before, and if so, what's the goal we're going for? So while you do that, I'm just going to introduce our speakers we have for today. We have Lorena Gaz, who's going to be our first speaker. She's a small business development specialist here. Her and Kenny Lopez as well. They're going to go over the process for you to let you know about submitting your projects to us for CBE goal review. Take it away, Lorena.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Hi, everyone. So happy to see so many familiar names. Thank you for joining us. So let's get started. Let's go for a quick overview of what we are going to be talking about today. Next slide, please.
Lorena, let me go over the overview, and then I'll have you pick up from there. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Kenneth Lopez, and we have an amazing, informative session for you today. Right away, I just want you guys to know and take away that this presentation has been designed to help you understand your program and navigate our processes. But not only that, I don't want you to stop there. I want you to feel comfortable as utilizing us as specialists as a resource, as a tool. We, as Sandy mentioned, we're more than willing to come to your city, to meet with you all on a one-on-one basis, to give you this type of refresher, to make sure that you understand our program and that you are able to navigate it effectively. We have a great agenda lined up for you today. Today's agenda is going to consist of going over an overview of the Mobility Advancement Program, also known as the MAP Broward. We're also going to talk about what is MAP Broward. We throw the term around so much, but we're going to dive a little bit into what is MAP Broward exactly. We're also going to talk to you about the status of MAP Broward projects thus far, and also how can your city or municipality benefit from this program. We're also going to provide you with an overview of our office's compliance and monitoring processes. This will include the 8 steps of compliance and monitoring, changes to your approved CBE teams, good faith efforts and liquidated damages, piggybacking and continued service agreements. And we're also going to talk to you about our community relations and outreach side. And last but not least, we're going to open up the floor to questions towards the end. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to our MAP Broward specialist, Lorena Gaz, who's going to continue on with the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Okay. Let's talk about MAP Broward. So many of you are already familiar. So many of you are already using MAP Broward to improve mobility in your municipalities, to improve travel for your residents. It's also, we're working on the future of rail as well. This is all we do here at MAP Broward. We want to improve, we want to manage traffic systems. We are working on bettering traffic flow. All of that through this wonderful program. We are projected to collect every year until 2049, 355 billion. So we are going strong on year number 4. So We are so excited. Next slide, please. So far we have 58 awarded projects. 28 of those have been awarded to municipalities. The average goal, you guys are amazing and you have it right. It's 30%. That's the average goal. 33% average goal. Sometimes depending on the scopes, on the type of project, those goals can vary, but the recommended goal is a 30% goal for qualifying projects. Up to date, 10.5 million have already been paid to CBEs, small businesses right here in our community. Now, if we go to the next slide, we can see the impact and why those benefits are so impactful in our communities. So when you improve transportation, when you improve infrastructure, you are improving, increasing economic growth in our communities. You know, our workers, whoever's working on a local project, at the end of the day, they're gonna go buy milk at the local store, you know, at our local municipalities. Those dollars are staying local, and that's so valuable to us. A lot of job opportunities. We're gonna talk a lot about that because a lot of our projects are going to require new hires. And how awesome is that? And lastly, improving the quality of life of our residents, but also attracting a lot of tourism to our area. Next slide, please. So now we're going to talk about the 8 steps of compliance and monitoring. We don't want to make this boring. We hope you stay engaged. This is, I love that Sandy likes to call this a marriage. So technically, when we signed those ILAs, we got married in some sort of way. And we're here to hold your hand through these 8 steps. Sometimes it could look like too much, very specific processes, but we are here. We are just one call away. We are one email away. Kenny and I, Nicole also, Sandy, we are very open to come to you, answer your questions. We have one-on-one meetings. We can come to your municipality. So this is just the beginning of our relationship, you guys. So let's tackle this. Let's start with the first process for compliance to make sure you are compliant with our small business program. Next slide, please. So the first thing we're going to do together is your municipality is going to submit a request for goal assignment form. Now, most of you are very familiar with this form. Make sure that you go to our website. We keep the most updated form. You are going to get a copy of this presentation. So you can click on the hyperlink and it's going to take you to the newest version of this form. Now, remember, it is one form per solicitation. Even if these are 2 very similar projects or 2 very similar, is a piggybacking, you always have to do one form per solicitation. Make sure to include all the services, all the scopes. Make sure to be as thorough as you can. And also, I want to make a note because every time we keep receiving new forms. Sorry, I have a little bit of a background noise. We get a lot of questions about federal funding. So you gotta make sure you note if there's gonna be any sort of additional funding sources in your, please make sure to enter it in the form as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so once you submit your request for goal assignment, one of our specialists, meaning Mr. Kenny or myself, we're going to get a hold of you. We're going to let you know that we have received your request for goal assignment and we are going to start processing it. Now, provided that we receive all of the paperwork, that form filled correctly, it's going to take approximately 10 days. It can vary if we did not receive all of the completed forms, or if something's missing, but we are always going to communicate with you. Now, you are going to receive a goal with a percentage, and there's also going to be a note letting you know if this specific project is subject to WIP. WIP is the Workforce Investment Program. That means in case any new employment opportunities arise during the project, you can advertise these new positions through CareerSource Broward. If you have more questions about this, we can always talk more about this. Not all goals apply for WIP, so we can always talk about that offline. Now, step number 3. Make sure that when you are preparing your solicitation, you include our OESBD language on the solicitation. This is going to allow the companies that are going to participate to get familiar with the program before they apply, right? So that way they can make sure they submit all of the forms, they submit their LOIs, and we are going to work with you. So there's also a hyperlink that you can click on when you receive these slides. Next step, please. So step number 4. You are going to receive, once you receive all of your responses back from your interested vendors, right? Please, this is a very, very, very important step. We want to be part of this. Send your responses to sbstartax@broward.org. We are going to review this. This is going to be transferred to one of our specialists. And in approximately 10 days, we are going to review it. We are going to make sure these vendors comply with the program. So most of the time we receive all of the correct documentation, but if not, we can give them 3 days to give us everything they need to be compliant. So now I'm going to transfer it to Mr. Kenny, and he is going to walk us through the rest of the steps.
Thank you so much, Lorena. So once we've received our vendors' responses, we're going to send to you what's called a compliance review memo. An example of this memo is shown on the right-hand side, and it typically has the following information. It'll have the subject, the body, and it'll also give you our determination as to which vendors are compliant and non-compliant with our program. There are a couple things that we look at when we are deciding this. We take a look at the letters of intent submitted by the vendors. We take a look to see that the percentages on the letters of intent equal out to the goal that was initially set on the project. And those who meet the goal, not only do we look at that, but also we look at the vendors that they choose, the subcontractors. We check to see if the subcontractors are in our small business directory and if they're certified with us. And after we've reviewed those responses and have drafted this compliance review, we'll send it out to you, and that will complete the compliance review process. However, I just want to make a note that when your project is awarded, we no longer hold the vendor to the initial goal that's on the project. We hold the vendor now to what they committed to on their letters of intent. So for example, let me explain. If we set initially a 30% goal on a project and we receive the responses from your vendor, and the vendor that you award the contract committed to on their letters of intent to 35%, then we now hold the vendor to, or we now hold the project to reaching the attainment of 35%. So it's at this critical point that the goal then becomes the commitment. Next slide, please. So when your project is awarded, we want to be the first ones to know. Why? because we want to be at those pre-construction meetings. We want to be the staff that's there talking to the newly awarded contractor, to the rest of your staff, giving them a refresher of our program and our requirements, so you can have not only a successful project, but a smooth process when it comes to our requirements. Another reason, and most importantly, is because it's at that point when a project is awarded that we begin our monitoring process. We monitor these projects on a monthly basis, and it doesn't start when the work starts. It starts as soon as the project is awarded. So once your project is awarded, follow the steps below and notify us, and it's as easy as sending us an email. Next slide, please. So when it comes to projects and when it comes to monitoring, we have a very thorough one. On the 10th of every month, we require your municipality to submit to us what is known as a monthly utilization report, or an MUR. These reports allow us to not only track the payments made to CBEs to make sure that they're being utilized correctly, but they allow us to track the status of the project to make sure that you're on track with meeting the commitment. Now, if there's something wrong with your project, we don't want to wait until the end of the project to know this. We are monitoring these projects on a monthly basis, and so we encourage you to reach out to us if there's anything going on with your project. You have opportunities every month to reach out to us. You don't even have to wait until the 10th of every month. You can reach out to us at any time, because it's important that we catch some of these issues on the front end instead of having to try to fix them on the back end. Next slide, please. Closing out your project. As your project is ready to close out, we do what's called a final evaluation, where we take a look at the payments made, the final attainment on the project, and we compose a letter that is sent to you with a breakdown of our findings. At the end of the day, this letter will tell you if you were compliant or non-compliant with meeting our small business requirements. If you're deemed non-compliant, there are real consequences. You can incur liquidated damages at the discretion of our office's director. And we'll talk a little bit about liquidated damages later on in the presentation. Next slide, please. CBE changes. Now, there might come a time in your project where you might need to make changes to your team. It could be a substitution, a modification, or a termination of a sub. Regardless of the type of change that you want to make, we ask that you contact us first, because no changes can be made unless our director approves it. So we will tell you what steps you need to take, what forms you need to turn into us, depending on what type of change you're trying to make. But the first step is contacting us and getting that approval from our director. Next slide, please. Good faith efforts and liquidated damages. So good faith efforts is a documented proof that you did the best that you could. You did all that you could to reach the target. Now, what's the target? The target could be maybe meeting the established goal or meeting the commitment. But basically, we want to know what you did to get there. We want you to even contact us so that we can provide you additional steps to take to make sure that you've exhausted every avenue and every way to try to reach the target. Proof of good faith efforts are so important because it can mean the difference between you being compliant or non-compliant with our small business requirements. Liquidated damages. Now, at the end of the day, our office is an advocate for small business, and our ordinance is clear. We set a goal on the project. That goal then becomes a commitment, and we monitor that project on a monthly basis from the start of the project to the end of the project. And then at the end, if you fail to meet the commitment, you can incur liquidated damages at the discretion of our office's director. And our language says it clear in regards to liquidated damages. It's equal to 50% of the amount of shortfall, and it's not to exceed 10% of the project's value. And believe me when I say this, we do not want you to get here. So please, please communicate to us if you think that there is something that might come up or the project isn't meeting the commitment. We want to know beforehand if you foresee any problems coming up, so we can help avoid that and make sure that you have a successful project that's not only is completed, but is compliant with our small business requirements. Next slide, please. Piggybacking and continued service agreements. There are different ways that a city or municipality can procure certain things. Sometimes this can look like contracts that piggyback off of others. Sometimes these are continued service agreements. But at the end of the day, we want you to know that regardless of the type of contract, you're always going to have a goal or a commitment. You're always going to utilize CBEs, and we are always going to monitor these projects for compliance through the use of monthly utilization reports and payment verifications. If you intend to use any of these contracts, there are some steps that you can follow, and we will walk you through each and every one. Just contact us and let us know. But the most important thing to remember is to follow those steps and make sure that you know that you do need to have a goal on a contract, on a project. You do need to have a commitment. You do need to send MURs, and there is at the end of the day going to be a compliance evaluation of the project to make sure that you are compliant or non-compliant with the commitment. Now I'm going to pass it over to Nicole Francis, who will talk a little bit about community relations and outreach.
Thank you so much, Kenny and Arena. So now, yes, community relations and outreach. So that's what I do here in the office. I am who helps spread the word about these MAP Broward opportunities and celebrate the successes. So I want to work closely with you for you to let me know about your projects. So we want to be involved throughout the life of your project. When you first submit your project to us for a goal, we want to celebrate that, let firms get excited about what goals and what projects are upcoming. If you know that you have projects coming up within the next month or two, let me know, send me an email so we can blast that out for you. When your solicitation is actually posted, again, we want to get firms excited about real opportunities. So I've always had firms asking, hey, where can I find where these solicitations are actually posted? Recently, I've actually updated our website so that we can actually house that in one place on our website for now. So please, it is so important when your projects are posted to let us know. And of course, we want to celebrate the rewards and we want to congratulate the firms that are actually being awarded on these projects, right? So when the projects are awarded, let us know. So again, we can celebrate and post that, and you'll see where we do that in our next slide. And of course, throughout the completion of the project, we want to celebrate that firms are actually meeting the CBE goals. Firms are actually getting paid on MAP Broward projects. So the point of this slide is, hey, reach out to us. We are here to spread the news. We're going to do everything we can with our efforts to let firms know about the MAP Broward opportunities and that folks are really getting paid and their tax dollars are really going towards improving transportation here. So these are the avenues in which we do it. Right now, every single week, we are posting in our Business Assistance Weekly. So that's a newsletter that goes out every single Wednesday to our mailing list. And every week there is some content in there about MAP Broward opportunities. So if you let me know about your projects, I will create a graphic just for it. We also have social media. So make sure you follow us on IG, follow us on Facebook. As you can see, we're Broward County OESBD. So every week I'm creating content, whether it's graphics, videos, making engaging content to let folks know your projects are here and to get involved. We also have YouTube. If you guys ever watch, put in the chat, let me know if you've seen any of our Let's MAP Broward with Nikki videos. We post on there, and we do that about at least once every quarter. So at least every couple months, we want to post a video where we are going on scene or doing some kind of interview or something engaging to let firms know about what opportunities there are and celebrating the success on these MAP Broward projects. Also, as I said, on our website, we're now going to be posting your bids there. So I can't celebrate it. I can't let folks know about it if I don't know. So please make sure that you are reaching out to us, letting us know what opportunities are there for our small businesses. And also, I wanted to make you know that we actually are coming up with events. We have a calendar where we're actually trying to have opportunities for your primes to be involved and get training on our small business program, because I know this is new, right? Your firms probably aren't used to having to deal with the CBE program requirements. So that's what we're here for. We actually set up a training where we're going to go in and have your primes understand the process. So we're going to have that upcoming. So look forward to that. We're going to have opportunities where your primes could actually meet our CBEs and make those connections, because again, some of these projects have the CBE requirement. So we want them to meet our CBEs. And of course, we are going to have an event which should be coming up in a couple months here, where we will actually invite you and our county agencies to let firms know about upcoming MAP Broward projects. So again, the whole point is we want to spread this word, and whatever avenue we can, we will, but we need to work with you to get that information. And lastly, I just wanted to mention, how can you help? So this is a slide for you right here. So what can you do? You can post our MAP Broward webpage link on your website. So that's something, simple that you can do. Post it on our website. They can link there, find out all about MAP Broward and the small business opportunities. They can even find your bids on there if you let me know. You can also follow us on social media, right? We post, like I said, every week. So you can go ahead and just share that. Just make it like a weekly thing that you do is go check out our page and share that information. You could forward out our business assistance weekly. Like I said, every week there's going to be MAP Broward content in there. So you can just go ahead and forward that on to your email list. You can invite us. We can go and talk to your firms about the CBE program and getting certified. This is a great opportunity. If they get certified, they can not only participate on your bids, but bids throughout the county. Many of the municipalities are going to use this money as well. So this is an opportunity for them to really get involved, especially the smaller firms, to get in on these projects. And of course, keep us informed. Again, let us know what projects you have coming up. Let us know what projects are posted. Let us know what's awarded. And the little bee there is saying, you'll be seeing me soon. I'm going to make an appointment with you municipalities to have a tailored plan we can go through together of how we're going to support each other to spread the news about these opportunities here in MAP Broward. So thank you all again so much for listening in. And I see some comments here in the chat. If you have any questions, please go to the Q&A section. Again, put your questions in the Q&A section and we'll answer them now.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Lorena. Thank you, Nicole. So gang, here's our point of abbreviation or short version of all the great news you just heard. As you continue to put your questions, if you have any, into Q&A. Why are we doing this? Because Broward County, along with our cities, passed surtax. That's just my short name for MAP Broward. 50% of you know this, 50% of you might be hearing this for the first time. A 30% goal has been set that for the county projects, city projects that's eligible, small businesses need to be utilized. If we're collecting about $355 million a year, every year for 30 years, that's about $16.7 billion that we'll end up having towards projects. And when we leverage some of that federal infrastructure, other state and DOT dollars, we might be collecting 16 something billion, but there's a chance to have 19 to 20 billion in real activity. And our job with you is to make sure at least 30% of what's eligible is spent with our small businesses. So to Nicole's last point, there's processes that you will follow that engage us. There's processes of your own procurement that you'll do that we want to be a part of. We only want to be a part of that as you're the lead so that we can assist in making sure your small businesses and the small businesses throughout Broward County have a real opportunity in participating in these surtax projects. So as an office, we're going to work with your planning departments, your ED departments, your purchasing departments, who's ever responsible for getting bids out. We want to work on the front side, during the bid, and at the end to make sure small businesses are available and can be used. And then on the monitoring and compliance side, we will watch these projects from the beginning to the end, making sure small businesses are used and paid. And then as a part of advertising and promoting, we want to celebrate with you the success of your projects, the utilization of your prime contractors, and their utilization of our small businesses. And we want to take that information and that success and share it so that other cities can do the same, other small businesses can see the same, and we get more small businesses into the fold. That's why we're here. And even though this is a relatively quick training, as all three of the staff just said, they are willing, specifically A through Z, to come out and meet with you and go over this again, or if there's any nuances or specific pieces that's just not connecting, we want to make sure that you're clear about how we can aid you and how you and I can support the small business community where these projects can use them going forward. And that's real. Many of you have done infrastructure projects, road improvement projects for years. And you've never had to use our small businesses. Some have used your own small businesses, but many of you use prime contractors, some of the same prime contractors that the county use. But we realized through this program, for the first time, some of your prime contractors are now going to have to work with Broward County's certified small businesses. And that just means businesses from your cities who are certified. So this isn't us against the prime. That's why we want our language in your bids. That's why we'll have meet and greets with you if you want. That's why we'll be a part of your negotiations if you choose. That's why we want to review your bid information to make sure whoever responds to your bid are including active small businesses. We want to work with you and your prime so that we're all successful. That's why we're here today. And again, this was a quick workshop. We just wanted to hit those key points, but you have every opportunity if you choose to ask my staff or myself to come do a one-on-one. So with that, let's jump to see if there's any questions and let's see if we can answer them. At you, Nicole or Pam, whoever's going to.
Yes, we do. Vanessa left a question asking, do you have an update on HB 346 and how it's going to affect us?
HB 346. So the first update I have that's getting ready to go to my commission next week is that they did amend the bill to remove what we all wanted, which was local. The whole idea, for those who aren't aware, there was a Senate bill that if it was to go through, the money that the county would spend, the money that the cities would spend for their own projects, the state wanted us to stop setting goals, not to do small business program. But I need to be clear, since this is a surtax workshop, surtax still would have been allowed to do goals, even with the new Senate bill if it passed, because surtax was voted by the people. So surtax would have already been excluded. They would have shut down my small business program. I couldn't set goals for that convention center expansion or the supervisor of election building or for the janitorial services or security services at the airport or the government buildings. I couldn't have done that no more. But surtax, because it was a vote in the people, even in the Senate bill, surtax would have been left alone. But as I understand it from our attorneys yesterday, for the Senate bill side, it's been amended. And going forward, even if the Senate bill is passed, they're not feuding with us in local. We can still do everything we've been doing. So that's good news. But the fight's not over, because there's also was a companion bill on the House side. And that's the one that we're still trying to get the House to remove. We too don't want anything that's in the House. Even though the final say is the Senate and the final say is the governor's signature, we still don't want nothing passed in the House that infringes on local preference. So we're in a better situation than I was last week when I was sending out letters. We're happy that the Senate bill has been amended. I saw it myself last night, and they removed the word local, which is good. But now we're still working with our lobbyists and our county attorneys and others to make sure that the House bill folks also know the same. Get local off your mind. So thanks for asking that question, but that's where we are. So anyone who was still sending letters or making calls, we're still doing the same for that House bill, because we don't even want House bill 383 to make mention of local restrictions. But thanks again for the question.
Any other questions at this time? Please put it in the Q&A if you have any other questions. Okay, I don't see any other
Somebody
questions.
just popped one up. I just saw
Let's
one.
see.
Pop up.
Oh, okay. Does a surtax-funded planning project require the same CBE requirement, or can the city use a firm previously awarded a CCNA contract with the city? I am unaware if the firm met the CBE requirement.
So planning, design, construction across the board, they're all eligible for CBE consideration. If you recognize all projects are supposed to be new. There have been some projects as introduced by the city that MAP admin and MAP legal have decided were eligible for MAP dollars, and they still had to come to us to talk about adding CBE opportunities. So if it's a new bid, a new project on the front end, planning activity, designing activity, A&E activity still could have CBE consideration, and certainly the construction as well. If you're really asking about a project that's currently underway and it initially did not have CBE participation on the planning side, you definitely need to speak with MAP admin and MAP legal to make sure that that project is qualified or is eligible and is going to be approved for the funding. Because if so, they'll still send you back our way, that even if it was something that had already started, the agreement might have to be amended to add the CBE portion. But to be real clear, the CBE goals based on how we get these originally as a request from the cities. CBE goals can be placed on the front end, which is planning, design, A&E, as well as on the back end when the actual trades and construction is happening. CBEs can be applied across the board.
And the same comment was, would you be able to tell me if this firm meets the CBE requirement?
So if you have a project of record that you're working with right now, which that means, and I'm glad you asked the question, we should know that an award was made. We should have known that a bid hit the street, and we should have known that the responses came in, included our CBEs. If none of those things didn't happen, okay, right now you can send to Kenneth and Lorena whatever this project is, when it was awarded, to whom it was awarded, and if they used any of our CBEs that you know, or if not, just tell us the little bit you know. We'll tell you if we ever reviewed it historically. And if we did review it historically, we'll tell you when we did review it. We'll tell you who we sent our information back to at that city. And then we still would have been expecting, as you heard the team say, that someone would have let us know when the bid hit the street. Someone would have let us know when the bid came back in. When the bid came back in, we wanted to look at the bids to make sure whoever was proposing to do your work also committed to the CBEs. And then we would have sent you a notification of compliance. And then you would have eventually, as a city, made an award. And when you made the award, you would have told us who you were awarding it to. And we would have then began on your behalf monitoring to make sure that that prime was using the CBEs that they promised or committed to use. So send that email and let us know all that we can, and we'll tell you based on any previous review we may have done. But if we didn't do it, send us all those details so we can tell you that the project was eligible for CBEs, and we need to immediately work with you to correct that.
All right, that was the last question that I see here.
So gang, once again, on behalf of Nicole, Lorena, Kenneth, Pam Danberg, thanks for the technical assistance, our office, and what it is we're trying to do for small businesses in Broward County. And guys, we need you to understand something. This is the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. Lorena was trying to share it with you earlier. It's not just about small business, because it is, but it's about the economic impact by using and committing to small businesses that empowers all of our cities and our entire county. When we do a project, the ideal of using small businesses, even for a percentage, means that directly, indirectly, and induced, things are happening. Directly, if a small business is used, somebody has a contract. And directly, some company is going to get paid. Indirectly, sometimes from the prime and the subcontractor, some of the money that's being paid is used to buy equipment, materials, and supplies. And some of that equipment, materials, and supplies is brought from different vendors right here in Broward. And so directly, indirectly, and induced. Induced is the aspect that if somebody wins a contract, they have employees who work for them. And the day that the company starts getting paid, they pay the employee. And as Lorena says, that employee, when he or she gets their check, they pay rent, mortgage, go to the grocery store, go to the gas station. So they're taking their dollars and fusing our economy with other businesses that are providing support and services that grow our economy. So it makes sense for my cities. It makes sense for Broward County. For things we got to buy and do anyway, it makes sense to keep some of the money home. That's not against prime contractors who are large and outside the state, and even some of my larger ones who's in Broward. It's just simply saying, if I got a $5 million project There's absolutely nothing wrong with 1.5 million of those funds that need to be spent staying right here in Broward. That's the program. That's what we're trying to do. There's a lot of ways to share that information. There's a lot of ways to get small businesses excited, but I just don't want to get small businesses excited and certified. We're also here to help engage and develop your small businesses in being successful in your procurement and the procurement throughout the county, through the other cities, and throughout Broward County. So thank you. You got the contact information from my 3 main people on the team. You need to reach out to them. If you still need a one-on-one conference call, virtual face-to-face or physical face-to-face, they are more than willing. But help us help you help all Broward small businesses by using this project. Guys, I'll say it again, and I know I keep repeating it. $16+ billion at the end of 30 years. And I get to say it unapologetically. I get to be intentional. If we as a county spending that kind of money, and also knowing we get to leverage some federal infrastructure coming down the pike, if we don't help small businesses grow to medium and large size businesses, if we don't help small businesses grow to be multi-million-dollar businesses that grow, that hire more, that expand more, but the main base is still here in Broward, then we're not doing the businesses or our community or the economy a just. This is $16 billion for transportation operations, transportation services, infrastructure throughout the county and the 31 cities, and the future of rail. This is a minimum of $16 billion that's going to be spent in Broward over 30 years, and we got 26 years more to go. So it just makes sense, economic sense, that some of our small businesses get to participate to help them grow, which helps our cities grow, which helps our county. So thank you all. We appreciate it. And Kenneth, Lorena, and Pam, as well as Nicole, thank you for presenting today. You guys have a nice day. See you soon.
See you soon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.